love to go wheeling, whether it's in the mountains, on the rocks, playing in the sand, the mud, or the snow. Our bags are packed and we're ready to hit the trail. We get a chance to film the best off-road events in the country with some of the best riders in the world. These guys push their machines to the limit, but sometimes the terrain wins. These creative engineers are going to show you how they fix it on the trail to get it home and ready to ride again. Gears, Rocks, and Wrenches has been brought to you by Canati Tires, quality performance tires. This week on Gears, Rocks, and Wrenches, the Canati team is taking us to Hurricane, Utah, where we are going to hook up with the Dixie 4-wheel drive shop crew to make an exciting trip to Toquerville Falls. The Dixie 4-wheel drive shop is one of Utah's premier full-service truck and Jeep shops, known for building incredible off-road vehicles. We will start out on Nephi's Twist, and this desert scenery is just amazing. This leads us to Laverkin Creek on the Rattlesnake Trail. We will cross this creek several times and have to deal with this hidden underwater obstacles. The scenery is amazing all the way to the falls. Our crew consists of several very capable rigs, all of them running the Canati Mud Hogs. The founder of Dixie 4-wheel drive shops, Milt Thompson, is driving a beautiful 2019 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon.
We've worked it hard, we've towed a lot of trailers with it, it's performed well, I've been really happy with it. Got a few upgrades we'll do to it yet, but we've been pleased with it so far.
It will be interesting to see how he maneuvers through some of the tight terrain of Rattlesnake Trail.
We do watch when we step off ledges and stuff, take a little different angle on them so we don't hang the tail end up, but it does well for us.
Canati's Director of Sales, Corey Ellis, is driving his wife's beautiful Cherokee XJ. Corey is on 37-inch Canati tires. He usually drives a heavily modified Rubicon, so Corey is going to have to take a completely different line today.
What will I have to do from the normal corporate JK I normally drive? Well, instead of my boss yelling at me if I screw something up, now it's my wife, so I think that might be worse. So I have to stay away from all the bushes. She said don't roll it over. And I think she said don't get it dirty, but usually that doesn't make sense because usually when she goes out and gets it dirty, I'm the one that washes it, so I don't see why she cares about that. But you know, we're out here, we're gonna go to Toquerville Falls, run through I think it's the Virgin River for a little bit. I've gone the other way, about halfway down from where we're starting. So, you know, you go to the falls the normal way that you see some two-wheel drive cars going, that's the 25-cent tour. How far I've gone down before, I'd say a 50-cent tour, but this is gonna be the whole $1 from here up. So, should be interesting. I know we're gonna cross the creek probably 20, 30 times, if not more. So, I'm looking forward to it. Actually get out and exploring and seeing something new and a new trail today.
Next we have Brent. He's driving a 2017 JK Rubicon and he's used to a Jeep Cherokee. So today's going to be a bit of a challenge for him.
Today I'm driving a 2017 JK Rubicon that's been heavily modified. It has 39-inch tires, Canati tires. We have big axles, big shocks. The whole entire suspension has been heavily modified for heavy trails. This is going to be a whole different animal. This item right here, this vehicle is a lot longer than my vehicle by easily over 1.5 feet. So it's going to be a lot different lines I'm going to be picking. It's going to be a lot different areas to look at because I'm going to constantly have to be worrying about high centering because it's a lot longer.
We have another 2019 JL Sport driven by Brad Whitbeck, the sales manager at Dixie Four-Wheel Drive Shop.
We got a fresh set of Canatis today on it, new 39s. Go get them broke in today. I've been doing off-road since I was a teenager, and I've had dirt in my veins for, I don't know, 30 years now it seems like. If it goes fast in the dirt and nothing to do stupid stuff in and hurts you, I'm down.
Then we have this beautiful Hemi-powered 2018 Jeep JL Rubicon driven by Bryce Thompson.
I wanted a do-all machine, so it's pretty luxurious. Inside's all leather, it's super fancy inside. It's got a lot of power. It's got 2 mufflers on it to quiet it down to make it that way. It's got the 3-link in the front and a 4-link triangulated with a flat bottom belly, so everything's tucked up. So yeah, it's meant to go fast, it's meant to go rock crawling, but it's my daily driver as well. We're on Nephi's Twist, that'll drop into Rattlesnake, and then we're gonna end at what's called Toquerville Falls, which is a pretty common spot that you can come in a 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive vehicle the other direction, but to go where we're going, you gotta have big tires and stuff like that. It's a fun trail, and it's a mix of a little bit of rock crawling, a little bit of water, and then obviously a little bit of bumpy dirt roads, which is where the suspension makes a big difference.
All of these rigs are immaculate. The driver's skills are going to be put to the test to see if they can get through the rocks without scratching and banging them all up.
Canati Tires, a division of Greenball Corp, has been in the tire business for over 44 years. We're passionate about developing quality tires that perform great and bring extraordinary value to our customers. Whether you're looking for a tire that can handle your off-road adventures or simply want a tire with a beefier look that won't break the bank, then check out Canati Tires.
Today we're going to go down what they call Nephi's Twist, which will dump down into the bottom of the Laverkin Creek. It was known as the Rattlesnake Trail from years back. We'll go on up the creek till we get to the Toquerville Falls, and that's where we pick up the road again that takes us up and over and back down into Toquerville.
Located right in the middle of it in St. George, Utah, is the Dixie four-wheel drive shop. We stopped in to find out exactly what this Hemi-powered Rubicon was all about.
We're very fortunate. We're right here in the heart of St. George, Utah. And so we have a whole bunch of different terrain around us. So from easy to mild to wild. So here we actually do quite a different diversity from, basic bolt-on bumpers, lift kits, wheels, tires, all the way up into, as you can see in the back, full builds like, body off, custom suspension, bigger V8 engines and stuff like that. And really, it's kind of easier to tell you what we don't do. We don't do body and paint, which we work with body and paint shops. And anymore, we really don't rebuild engines and transmissions in-house anymore very often. But then other than that, we do full automotive builds and maintenance and repair and upgrades. So we specialize in full vehicle builds. So whether it be a pickup truck or a Jeep Wrangler or a Bronco or an older vehicle, we modify and put all the newer stuff into them. That's what we're known to do. We do repair. Locals have sandrail cars here that they don't want to haul clear back to California or to Vegas from the builder. They'll bring it back up and we take care of that stuff too. But we can do the TIG welding and milling, and we have a lathe. So we're able to do CNC plastic. We're able to cut out a lot of our own parts. So when we can't find a part, we can make our own parts to get the job done, is one nice thing about our shop. So Brad, he's actually our sales manager, but he's been doing tires and wheels his whole life. He's been doing all the different mechanical. He was actually our shop foreman, but we brought him into the sales end so that he has the mechanical background to talk the right talk with the customers, but also can go back and do the job too. Today he's mounting up some 39s on we call it JL2. So it's a Jeep JL Wrangler that's been modified to fit 39s on it. And then I got my JL1, which is 1 and 2. I got mine first. It's got a 6.4 Hemi and a Pro Rock 80 and 60 coilover bypasses. It's a full built JL that we'll be out in today to go have some fun too.
Honestly, this is my first time physically getting a chance to come through Dixie's shop and see some of the projects they're working on. I'm like a kid in a candy store right now because not only are their projects legit, they're built correct. I mean, because these guys aren't just guys who build Jeeps, they're guys who actually wheel Jeeps and have been wheeling Jeeps for a long, long time. So they've been through the do's and don'ts. And what's nice to see about their projects is their attention to detail. That was one of my favorite things walking in the back here right now and seeing some of the projects they're working on and seeing the detailed work and the eye-catching items, a way they run a wire, a way they run a line. Everything runs clean, smooth, and it's methodically thought out before it's just put in. Whereas other shops you'll look at, they're really just kind of guys that will throw things together, whereas if they don't have the part here, they'll manufacture their own part. And if they don't like the way a part's built, they make it built better. That's why I think Dixie sets themselves apart from a lot of the guys I've been around.
Jeeps are Legos, right? You can just stack this on it, that on it, and vehicles are that way, but especially Jeep Wranglers. This one, when we first wanted to build it for Easter Jeep Safari, we called suspension companies, like, we don't even have a lift kit. We don't even have one yet. We don't even have a Jeep yet. Oh, we got a front bumper we're gonna show at Easter Jeep. And that's when our shop went, you know what? We don't gotta wait for, someone to give us an answer. We were just like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna fit 39s in it, and so we custom built it to fit what we wanted, and that's why we did the back half frame. Rather than trying to make suspension work with someone's axle, we just built every bracket and started from the beginning and actually built what we wanted, so we weren't trying to make someone else's work with something else that they haven't seen yet. When a Jeep gets around to the end of the year of that vehicle, every product has been tried on a Jeep and mixed, matched, and different components. This one, nothing was available, so it's all our own. So we were able to make it all play together like it's supposed to. What's fun on this one is this was the very first JL. JLs came out and we tried to order one, but we were late on the list. We actually scored this one in Salt Lake. It was one that someone didn't pick up or get. So we were able to get a red one like we wanted, a Rubicon, even though we changed everything out. But we were the first ones, and the first available one we could actually go buy, that was this one. We were trying to really show it off. We have a shop in Moab, Utah, and Easter Jeep Safari is the big heavy hitter, off-road event of the year. And this Jeep, we had a month and a half to cut it apart, build it, and we wanted to build it, and that's why we did the biggest motor package available at the time. The bigger 8-speed tranny, Dynatrac 80, 60, the 39s, and it's all custom suspension, custom exhaust, and it's even got a back half frame to fit. We triangulated the rear end, which means we moved the fuel tank to the back. It's custom all the way front to the back on this one. So the exhaust, it's very tight because we put all the suspension mounts up above the frame so the frame rail's nice and low, that exhaust is tight and it's got to clear those upper control arms. So it kind of goes around and it actually snakes around the front of the motor and then comes back and then actually crosses back over in the back to give it a little more length so we could get that second muffler in. But it's all stainless steel TIG welded all the way out the back to give it that nice look, but also a nice tone and route it where we wanted it out of harm's way on the suspension.
The Dixie rigs are one of the nicest, cleanest rigs I've ever wheeled with, and that's one thing I enjoy is coming back here to see the new projects they're building, because every project they build, it's not just a Jeep, it becomes a real show car. And the thing is they don't treat them like show cars. They wheel their show cars because they are that clean. The Gladiator impresses me. The first time I ever seen the Gladiator in action was in January of this year at the 4x4 Jamboree, in the same area. We're in Sand Hollow, and I watched Bryce wheel that stock 2.5 inch, just a small lift with 39-inch tires. I watched him physically wheel some sections that Jeep should have never probably been put through, but it made it through with ease. Just like yesterday watching Milt get around some of those sections that we went through that were, I was really waiting to see some body damage get done in some of those sections because we're going around those tight trees and some of those tight rock sections. I was just waiting for we're gonna have to back up and winch out, or we're gonna see some body damage coming through to some of those sections. And surprisingly enough,
Our ride was good. First time I've been up the entire length of that trail from the bottom. I've been up halfway of that before on a recovery mission, but I never had finished it all the way out. I definitely will go back and do it again. Had a lot of everything you want to do, from rocks under the water you got to watch out for, to a little bit of rock crawling, not bad, a little bit of sand, mud. Had the mix of it all. It was fun. Underneath the water was the biggest thing, was somewhere hidden where it didn't look like it was a 3-foot tall rock. You hit it and it was, tires are wet, they'd slip off. Typical river running. Some issues, but nothing that was overcomable. Oh, it does. You start out in the desert, in the dust, you get in the water and it looks like you're in the bottom of Grand Canyon or something with the steep walls you're in. And you climb back up on top to more of a higher desert rock formations, get in the trees, sagebrush, had a mix of everything. Performed well, just as you'd expect for what we build them for, to go doing trips like that. Nothing that you can't just wash off the next morning and clean up and get ready for the next adventure.
There's definitely times you want to follow somebody in their lines to get over something, and there's also times you want to pick your own lines because maybe you really have to watch the guy in front of you and see what he did and if he did anything wrong, and if that's the line you want to take or not want to take, or try something completely different just to make it more fun and more challenging, or maybe just make it easier because the line the guy in front of you went on was too hard. I mean, if I was following Bryce around, I can't go up gigantic sand hills. I don't have the horsepower he has. I don't have the wheel travel he has, the current clearance. So, some of the lines he takes, I would say most of us in that group probably couldn't do. So, you really got to pay attention to who's around and also what lines you're taking for the vehicle you're driving.
My fiance got a little perturbed by some of the obstacles that we went through. She gets a little sketched, especially that one where we fell down the rock right after Milt did it first. And I followed the same line, and so did Brad as well. We all kind of fell off that rock coming down. Left a nice little, what we call rock rash on the side, but it was a good time.
Dixie actually built our JK for us. We've been doing business with them for the last 5-6 years. We're always wheeling with them in the Utah events. Whenever we're in a Utah event, whether it be, 4x4 Winter Jamboree, Easter Jeep Safari, Trail Hero, any of those events, around here, or even when they do their fun runs on the weekends, sometimes, we go out and we wheel with them. So wheeling with those guys, it's a lot of fun. They're a good group of guys to wheel with. They know what they're doing. They've been out on the trails a bunch. They got a lot of trail history. They know what to expect. The vehicles that they take almost always are very capable, very, very good vehicles. Milt got a little hung up on that one section, but he was also driving a Gladiator. It's a little bit lower and a little bit longer. So, they know what they're doing. They have a lot of experience, and they know how to wheel. So it's a lot of fun going with them and seeing what they do and the lines they take, and how they get around the parks and around the trails. The Cherokee actually did pretty well. I was pretty impressed. That's the most I've ever driven that thing, and the most technical terrain I've ever driven it on as well. I was really impressed with how it worked. It crawled real well, never really got stuck. I think I turned the front locker on once to get over something, and then I took a really hard alternative line and had to turn both the lockers on one time just to get up that little section, just up a bump. But I think partly that was just, I was on 37s and everybody else is on 39s, so I think the tire size might have had a little bit to do with it because it was a pretty big transition.
I totally enjoyed watching Corey drive the same Jeep that I actually own, and then I'm driving complete opposite Jeep of what I normally drive. So it was really fun to watch him go through some of the obstacles that I went through, what I would normally go through in my Jeep. But then I'm in my whole, I actually am in a Jeep that I work in when I do tours in Big Bear. So I was very familiar with how the Jeep would handle, except for the Jeep I was driving, the Canati tires are 39s instead of 37s. When I do Jeep tours in Big Bear, I'm typically on 37s. So some of the obstacles I was choosing, I actually could have gone on the harder side of it because the vehicle was able to handle the harder rocks compared to what I work in. But definitely watching Corey drive the little XJ that I have was really fun to watch because you could tell he was a little skeptical at some of the lines he picked. One thing that I was really impressed with, even though that four-door is so long, is the height of the tires that we put on that vehicle and some of the obstacles it was able to get around and over. It really impressed me for the way that vehicle's equipped because that Icon suspension really does work well.
Next week on Gears, Rocks, and Wrenches, we're heading to the East Coast to ride with the crew from Scorpion Off-Road Concepts on the Southern Journey presented by Canati Tires. This 5-mountain, 5-day event is going to test these drivers and their machines. You don't want to miss it.